This is called One Light by Christy Matheson. It was a cold and dreary evening. Rain fell, wind swirled, and suddenly the lights went out. Mouse peeked out of her house. She saw no one. She felt lonely. She wondered if anybody else was feeling lonely too. Maybe, thought Mouse, who wasn't a mouse at all, but that's what her friends called her, maybe a light would help. Mouse wasn't sure if one light could make a difference, but just in case it could, she searched for a lantern she'd made in school. She asked for help with a candle, and then Mouse lit one light. She decided her light would do the most good where others could see it, so she set it outside her door, but a gust of wind blew it right out. Mouse tried again, and this time, her light stayed lit. Feeling brighter, Mouse went inside. Soon, Sam scurried along, worrying about 100 small things and struggling to keep up with his schnauzer. They both spotted the light outside Mouse's house, and for some reason, his dog stopped pulling, and Sam's worry seemed to float away. When Sam got home, he whispered, "A light in my window could make someone else smile." And so Sam lit one light. Not long after that, Harriet hurried by. She usually dashed past Sam's house, thinking about whether it was whatever it was that she had to do next. How lovely, she thought, as she stopped, no longer in a rush. I wonder if I should add a light. So when she got home, Harriet lit one light. As the evening turned to night, Oliver ambled toward home, leaning on his cane as the wind whipped about. He wasn't usually afraid of the dark, but this gloomy evening had him feeling nervous. But his fears disappeared when he saw Harriet's light. "Perhaps a light at my house," he said, "would be a welcome sight." And when he returned to his attic apartment, Oliver lit one light. In a little while, Mama and Bailey Brown came along. Mama was exhausted. "Look, Mama," Bailey cried joyfully as she eyed Oliver's light. All at once, Mama felt a glimmer of energy. She scooped Bailey up and carried her home. When they got home, Bailey said eagerly, "Mama, let's share our light too." "I'm too tired," Mama said. But Bailey smiled and said, "Please?" And so together, Mama and Bailey lit one light. One by one, others in the neighborhood headed homeward on that dark and stormy night. They felt their spirits lift whenever they spotted a sparkling light. And when they arrived at home, each of them lit one light too. Later, Mouse peeked out to check on her light. It was still glowing. Then she looked around in amazement. She didn't feel lonely anymore, and she realized something. One light had made all the difference. I found one light at a bookstore in Maine. It was President Trump's inauguration weekend, and I was officiating a colleague's wedding. During a day so joyful for my coworker, my heart was at a funeral, and the grief was huge. Everything had a shade of despair to it, even as I tried to be present. I was buried under the gravity of what was happening and felt helpless. So I decided to go to a bookstore, which is a place that always comforts me. My buried mind could not handle complexity, so I went to the children's section, where you can find books that get right to the heart, and there was one light. I was drawn to its beautiful illustrations, and then the words hooked me. By the time I finished reading, a tiny thread of hope had reached my heart. And for the first time in weeks, my spirit lifted just a little. There was a tiny spark of hope, of meaning, of connection. It was small, but it was there, and it made all the difference. With this spark, I could receive some light, which made it possible to believe that there could be light. I was recently in my office at the hospital where I serve as the director of spiritual care. My office is next to the Dunkin' Donuts, so there's a lot of Dunkin' ministry. My door was open and someone stopped by. They looked around and said, "I'd love to know the story behind each of your tiny trinkets." I thought about this throughout the day as I realized I do have a lot of small trinkets. I've been paying more attention to the trinkets, and as I remembered the story behind each one, I realized that I keep a little altar of small things. Each item hugely holy, and each a testament to the small moments and offerings, those we receive and those we give. During a time when the world feels full of hugeness, huge threats, huge need, huge hurt, huge pressure, I'd like to offer some praise of the small by taking you through my little altar of tiny trinkets. When faced with a huge problem, we might not be able to fix it, but we can still do something important. My desk has an electric votive candle on it, kept from an honor walk I participated in years ago for a patient that I'll call Christina. When I share stories from work, I change all the identifying details but keep the essence of what happened. Christina was rushed to us after an overdose and accident. She survived many surgeries but was found later to be brain dead. Her grandmother, Yvette, was at her side each day and decided to donate Christina's organs. As we prepared for the donation, Yvette asked if we can do an honor walk, which is when hospital staff gather to line the path from a patient's ICU room to the operating room to honor their gift of organ donation. Over 100 colleagues gathered to line the halls for Christina, each holding a votive candle for her. Our music therapist played Christina's favorite song, Bob Marley's 3 Little Birds, and walked beside Yvette as they followed Christina and her team. After Yvette left the OR doors, I brought her a votive candle. I thought you might like a piece of this moment. We will remember Christina and think of her when we hear her music. We will remember her love of motorcycles and flowers. We will remember you. Yvette started to cry. I will never forget this moment. Christina made some mistakes in her life, and she was never able to recover. The world did not see her goodness, did not honor her, but at the end of her life, she was treated as a hero. She was honored. I will never forget how you saw her. When we can't save someone's life, it can be hard to feel that anything we do matters, but it does. A gesture that might have felt small to us was huge for Yvette, a comfort and aid as she lived through her biggest tragedy. Sometimes we are exhausted by the darkness. We don't have the energy to ignite the whole stadium, but even tired, we can create a spark. Near my candle is a friendship bracelet that has multicolored beads spelling out love. A congregant made this bracelet for me the night of last year's election. Sanctuary and Arlington Street Church partnered up for a non-watch party, sharing food and music and crafts with gentle, occasional election updates. I was helping host and was running around, and at the end of the night, a new congregant at Arlington Street, who had been facing a lot of challenges, handed me this bracelet. Reverend Allie, this is for you. You always look out for us, and we wanted you to have something too. This small bracelet, small moment, ignited my heart with warmth and tenderness. And then in the coming days and weeks and months, I held it, and I could feel the tenderness still. Looking at the bracelet on my desk reminds me of a friend that I'll call Maria, who wears the same friendship bracelet every day. It says strength. Maria never met the person who made it. Maria was getting cancer treatment and had to be hospitalized. She was weak and terrified, and on an especially bad day, Maria's nurse handed her a card. "It's from someone who was here once," she said. Maria opened the card and read a message from another patient who explained that they were stuck in the hospital for 2 months and had very little energy, not enough to walk, but enough to make bracelets. So that's what they did. And as they threaded the beads, they thought of the patient who would get it, wishing them strength and hope and comfort. They got better, and they wanted to pass on some love to the next person who would be in their room. To know that someone had been through this and thought of me and sent me strength gave me hope and helped me feel less alone. This stranger feels like a friend. What we can muster up for others helps them, and being able to do something can help us. Sometimes we only have enough space to receive the small. I have a little coffee mug pin from the local coffee shop near my college. In my second semester of my first year of college, everything fell apart. That had never happened to me, and I felt like a shell of myself. I had always been the helper, the overachiever, and I could barely get through my classes. I didn't know my dorm neighbor, Sam, very well, but she seemed to somehow get that I was struggling. She asked if I wanted company to do homework. Every Sunday, we sat at Stone Creek Coffee together for hours. We really didn't talk. It was too hard for me to talk about what was happening, and we didn't have much in common, anything really in common except for those homework dates. Every Sunday night, as the coffee shop closed, I had tears as we said goodbye. "I can't thank you enough," I would start. "Nah," Sam said, "this is such a small thing." But it wasn't. It was everything. Our homework dates helped me hold myself together when I felt close to falling off the cliff. The silent company deepened safety and helped me be able to face my schoolwork. My very panicked heart could not have held a long conversation or done a shared activity, but those homework dates of quiet company were a lifeline. There's something beautiful about being a part of something bigger than ourselves. When we do one small act, there is space for many other small acts to follow. We plant a flower, which helps create a garden. There's a little vial of rainbow glitter on my desk, left over from my time with a patient, one of my favorite patients, that I'll call Manny. Manny lived in the hospital for over a year. I was asked to see Manny because he was having a hard time. "Hi, Manny," I said. "I'm Allie." Manny looked at my badge and said, "A chaplain? You are not going to want to see me," which is different than "I don't want to see you." "Why?" I asked. "I'm gay," Manny said. I looked at him and smiled and said, "Me too." Manny was shocked. "You exist," he said. I said, "We do." "Well," he said, "you can come in then." "You want to bless me with some ashes, chaplain?" I took a risk. "Well, it isn't Ash Wednesday. How about if I bless you with glitter?" And that started over a year's worth of conversations. I learned that Manny had been kicked out of his church at age 12 for being gay, and it was something that still haunted him. I learned that after a decade of addiction, he didn't have many friends left, and that his parents loved him, but they couldn't face seeing him in the hospital. A year later, all of our interventions were failing, and it was clear that Manny wasn't going to survive. "Will you bless me, chaplain?" I thought about our first meeting, and I gathered some glitter as I cried. As the team was preparing pain medications and putting on his favorite music, I came in and showed Manny the glitter. "You remembered," he said. I prayed in gratitude for all of Manny, lifting up his pains and his goodness. I prayed for healing and peace and for a beautiful beyond, and sprinkled a little glitter on Manny's head. It was a crowded little hospital room. As the glitter hit Manny's head, a doctor reached out his hand. "May I?" he said. I was confused and then realized he was looking at the glitter, so I handed him the bag. "May you have peace," he said, and sprinkled some glitter. Then a nurse reached for it. "May you know that you are loved." And the glitter continued around the room. As we cried together, Manny looked at me and said, "Looks like I found a church after all." A small act prompted many other small acts, each coming together to tend to a very deep, very old wound. The candle, the bracelet, the coffee mug, the glitter, they all remind me of the same lesson. The small isn't really small at all. What might your altar of small things look like? What small moments and gestures have had a huge impact on your life? What small gifts might you be able to give others? The smallest offering might be just what is able to patch the deepest, most tender, hurting wounds. The small offerings might keep us from getting lost, and they can keep us going. The small is not small at all. In moments when you feel the enormity of limitations, may you be able to offer up something small and remember how very big this can be. In moments when you feel buried under the heaviest of the huge, may a small offering reach you as a balm. May the smallest lights lift us out of the dark. Amen. Source of all love, be with us through all the joys and all the sorrows of our lives. Find us in the big, find us in the small. Let tender care reach our loved ones struggling with illness, our trans and non-binary and gender non-conforming siblings. Reach all people, all beings who are in need and who hurt. And live with all the unspoken that lives in our hearts. Bless our journey and let us love and be loved the whole way through.